Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Club. This is the place everyday real estate investors gather to share their best stories, biggest insights, and favorite tactics to grow a portfolio of cash flowing properties in today's market. Here's your host, Gabe Peterson.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. Today's a good day. It is a nice sunny day here in November 3rd. Gotta love it. Sun out there, probably 40 degrees here in Seattle. I'm going to give everybody a warning that my baby daughter is on the floor behind me, 4 months old. Our childcare situation had a hiccup today, and so she might cry at points, and I'll pause the recording, but you just got to roll with it in life, in real estate. That's just how it works. But I'm super excited today because we have Kenny Garza with us. Kenny has a lot to go over, so I'm going to let him tell his story. Kenny, thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Absolutely. Gabe, honestly, a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. It's been a couple months in the making, so I appreciate you. I'm excited that it's finally here, so I appreciate it.
There you go. I told you before we got on here, we like stories. So why don't you take us to the beginning of your story? How'd you get started in real estate?
So I've been in real estate now for close to about 7 years. But to back it up even a little bit further, so I grew up in Mexico, in Monterrey. I grew up there till I was 16, and we, owned businesses back then. So being a business owner has always been kind of in my blood and my family. It's always been a thing. We owned a business for 40 years. So it's a, big old family business in Mexico. Started working since I was like legit working, like probably 10. Wow. So, I've been working for a while.
That's the benefit of having a family business. I've always, work is rough, especially when you're 10, but I've been jealous of people who grew up in family businesses, and you got that perspective. You have like entrepreneurship just boiled into your brain. So that's awesome.
Yep. And I think my biggest takeaway of that is work ethic. Like, I think my dad was, he was tough. He was like, hey, I don't care if you stayed up on Saturday till 3 a.m. Like Sunday morning, you got to be at the business at 7. And so there were some rough days, but anyways, work ethic was a great thing. But we moved to the United States, to Texas when I was 16 after my dad passed unexpectedly. And so that triggered us to sell everything, kind of move, and I kind of had to just grow up quickly, right? So I got into real estate when I was like I said, I've been looking into investing for the last 7 years, but I became a loan officer. In my thoughts, I was like, oh, I'm gonna learn all about real estate. I'm gonna become a loan officer so I can learn how to underwrite deals. I didn't. I learned how to get people approved for a home loan, but not necessarily how to underwrite deals and find deals, right? And make it as an investor. So I did that very successfully.
I do like the idea, though. I feel like, getting started in real estate on the loan side, I liked where your head was at. So kudos to that.
Well, the thing is, though, is I work for a builder here in Dallas. So I'm based in Dallas, Texas. And I worked for a new home builder, like first-time home buyer. So I learned a lot about down payment assistance, FHA, all the typical VA conventional loans. I did a couple of portfolio non-conforming loans, and that was very fun. That was super exciting. But again, I didn't really understood how to analyze a flip, how to analyze a BRRRR, how to analyze a sub to any of those things. It was just not, it was foreign. Right. So anyway, so I did that for 3 years. And then February of 2021, I decided to leave. So 2020 was a great year for me. I closed about $48 million in production.
Every loan officer back then, 2020 was.
Yeah, it was wild. It was wild. I did no refinance. It was all purchase. And then February of 2021, with the support of my fiance, Camille, we decided to take the leap and go full-time real estate investing. So that's when the journey really began. And since then, I've done a little bit of everything. I started with doing some land flipping. Then I got into Airbnb arbitrage. And then I got into a partnership with my really good friend. We did primarily wholesaling and flipping. And May of this year, that partnership ended amicably. We're still really good friends, but we both decided to go our own route. So since May of this year, basically I rebuilt a business from the ground up. And I guess the highlight of that is like in 90 days I made over six figures. So
There you go.
since I went on my own. So that's
Yeah.
that's
Well,
the tagline.
that's a good it just goes to show that you really can reach your goals quicker than you think in real estate. Obviously, you had the
Yeah.
benefit of already having that experience, and so
Right.
you could do it a little bit faster than most people. But I talk to
Mhm.
so many people who want to get into real estate, they want to achieve financial freedom, and they're like, all right, in 10 years I can get to where I need to be. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
it really only takes one deal, to be honest, if you have
Yeah.
reasonable expectations of cash flow, to get to where you want to be. So love to hear that. It's curious, you started with land flipping. Why did you choose land flipping?
Um, so when at the time when I left, I connected with a really good friend of mine, Mason. He's very successful out in Colorado, and he was doing land flipping. And so I saw that he was posting, hey, I'm making all this money, and I was like, well, that's kind of what I got to make right now. I need to make some money. So I was like, hey, how did you get started in this? And tell me a little bit about it. So I joined like like a land flipping program. So I still have access to it. I made really good relationships. So that's how it started. It was great. I was mailing people with an offer. So like literally, hey, for your lot,
This
Mr.
is what I'm
Gabe
gonna, yeah,
Peterson.
offer you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
We've
this
I've
is your
actually tried that
offer.
with single family. It did not go over well, but I've heard it really works well in land.
Yeah, I don't know why. I wonder. It's probably because it's an asset that people are not that attached to. Like it's just land, right? Like it's not like they're leaving their childhood home or like mom's house, dad's house that has sentimental value. So for them it's a little more transactional, which is nice. But I would literally get calls in the from my mail and be like, hey, yep, I'm ready to close, and I'm talking like 25 cents on the dollar land.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so
And
wait, were you this is I'm
yeah.
always interested with the land deals because the strategies there, well, first of all, the amount of money you need to close land deals is nothing compared to commercial
Right.
deals.
Yeah.
But I hear people closing 25 cents on the dollar, and I'm like, damn, did you use the like the assessed value as your valuation, or how'd you come up with the 25 cents on the dollar figure?
All right, we're getting into it. Cool. I like it. So man, that was actually a little bit of a grind. A lot of people just take the assessed value, but what I realized after my first set of mailers was that my offers were like sometimes 5% of the value because it was waterfront, or it was in a very exclusive community where there's a lot of demand for. And so what I actually ended up doing is I started comping by subdivision, and then I came up with an average per acre per subdivision. And so
Okay.
I started developing this kind of criteria where when the next month came and I got a new list, I had an idea of like, hey, per average in this subdivision is, I don't know, 10,000 an acre, 15,000 an acre. Then I over time it got a little easier because I started developing my own data. But it was a grind at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like having to comp per subdivision was rough.
Yeah.
But it worked out. I did get in, I don't want to say like, oh, if you do this, it's gonna happen for you, but it does happen, right? Like if you're long enough doing it, it will happen. I did get a letter signed and then returned via fax. Like I never talked to this person and they just signed the
I don't even have
offer.
a fax machine. That's
Yeah, I mean
impressive.
neither. But I when part of the training was like, hey, you're gonna be dealing with a lot of older folks that still do fax, so make sure you have a fax number. And I was like, all right, sure, I'll do it. And I did. I got one that it was signed over, sent via fax, never talked to the seller, and we had a deal. So yeah, I never did anything bigger than probably like a $10,000 deal on land, which
Okay.
is which was enough to kind of keep us going. But I was like, man, I need to do bigger deals. Like this is
And
not
you're
cutting it for
talking
me.
10,000 net.
No, 10,000 gross. So I would get the
Oh,
land for 2,500, and then I would
wow.
probably
Jeez.
average, yeah, I would probably average 5 to 7K per deal.
Interesting. Okay.
And I would do a couple, maybe one or two per month. So
Yeah.
again, it was enough to like supplement my income to kind of get me going, but not enough to where I wanted to be. So that's how eventually we transitioned into Airbnb arbitrage, which again, that's a whole different world. And then made it eventually into wholesaling and flipping, which is what we do right now.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Everybody has their own trajectory in real estate. We all get started, and a lot of people get started in the wholesaling, and then we take all these different paths to get to where we end up, and which is great because it's one of the reasons I love real estate. There's so many different ways to do it.
Yes, 100%.
So, I mean, you mentioned a few things there. Why don't we fast forward to where you guys are today? What's your main strategy? What's your bread and butter when you go out there today?
Absolutely. So it's wholesaling. So wholesaling in single family. So that is we were flipping earlier this year, like May, June, July. We did a couple flips per month. But just the way that the economy is and everything, we do have a couple properties that are sitting right now, and so we're like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't continue to like scale the flipping side and focus more on the wholesaling. So we sell to hedge funds. That's really where we're making our money at the moment. And probably a lot of people would probably be like, what? Hedge funds are still buying? Yep, they're still buying, but very low. So right, like they're not buying at 100% every year, 105 or even 85 like they used to. They're buying low, but they're reliable, right? And that's really kind of what we've been building our business around is reliability, and we want to make sure that if we have a deal, we can move it, right? So that's really kind of what we've been focusing on at the moment.
Nice, I love it. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to jump in there. Wholesaling, I never want to discourage people from getting into wholesaling, but I don't like generally how the real estate educational industry positions
totally agree.
as this easy way to make money.
Totally agree.
It's definitely not easy. You got to put a lot of effort into it. But if you do put the effort and you get that system working, it can pay off pretty well. So let's talk about your business, about your wholesaling business. First, let's talk about your marketing. Wholesaling always starts with getting in contact with the seller. What is the ways that you guys are reaching out? What's the volume you're doing? Take us through it.
Before we continue on with today's guest, I want to tell you guys about a community I'm launching on School to help investors like yourself grow your own portfolio. In this community, you'll get access to all the docs I use, all the systems I've built, everything I've used to grow my own portfolio, as well as instructions and guidance on how to get out there and find great deals, how to finance those deals, and then how to manage them for great returns. Since we're just launching it, the price will be set at a measly $20 per month, and whatever price you join at is the price you'll have for life. We will be increasing the price as the group grows, so if you're at all interested in growing your portfolio along other investors, now is the time to join. I will put the link somewhere in the bio or on our podcast website at therealestateinvestingclub.com, so if you are interested, head on over there. With that said, let's get back to the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. But I wanted to back it up just a moment, Gabe. You mentioned something that I'm also super passionate about, which is the idea that it comes easy, right? Like, oh, you just make a couple calls and you make $50,000. Like, oh my gosh, no, that's not, yeah. That is not the case, nor has it ever been the case. If you see a guru teaching you that, it's just the marketing. It's just marketing. They're trying to, catch your attention to sell you something. In order to be able to run a truly operational wholesaling business, you need different components, right? You need acquisition, sales, training, education. You need dispositions, like making relationships with people that can actually buy your deals, operations, marketing, management. I mean, there's a lot really that goes into running a wholesaling operation. Now, if you're doing onesie twosies and you still have your full-time job, hey, that's amazing. It's additional supplemental income. But if you're like, hey, I want to jump in full-time, do this full-time, just be prepared because you're going to be a business owner, right? Like you're not going to make enough money to support your family and your goals by just doing onesies or twosies. Like you're going to have to become a truly business owner. Anyways, I wanted to drop that in there because I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. And yeah, I'm very passionate about that as well.
I 100% agree.
And as far as what we're doing currently for marketing, so in my previous business partnership, we were doing all outbound, so cold calling, cold texting. That is, at the moment, cold texting is basically almost extinguished. Yeah, I mean, it's really, really, really hard right now with all the regulations that are coming into place to keep that going. Cold calling, I still hear people having success with it, but it is a difficult outbound channel to manage. It's high volume, meaning a lot of conversations to get one single contract. So when I started my business in May, I made a decision that I was not going to do outbound channels because I hate them. And I'm sorry if you're listening to this and you love outbound channels, kudos to you. I just don't, I don't have that in me. And that's okay. We're all built different. But yeah, so I'm all inbound. So I use paper lead channels, primarily as our lead source, and
paper lead. So you got to take us into that. When I hear paper lead, I generally think that somebody else is doing the marketing and they're sending you their leads.
That's
and
correct.
Then you pay them per that. Interesting. Okay.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, I'll elaborate specifically. I mean, there's a lot of different pay-per lead channels out there. So I'll mention a few, and I'll mention the ones that I've had success with. Now, again, this is just, it varies by market. Every market is different. It depends how much you're willing to spend, how good you are with your leads. But you have, for instance, you have Lead Geeks, you have iSpeed to Lead, you have Need to Sell My House Fast, you have HomeLight, and those are primarily the four main ones that I've kind of looked at. I particularly use HomeLight and Need to Sell My House Fast. So those are my go-to primary marketing channels, and then direct mail. I use a company called Investor Machine for my direct mail, and that's really what our main marketing channels are. All inbound. Again, all inbound. The reasoning behind that is you're going to spend more money, but your returns are higher, and it's a lot better. You're not, these are people that are looking for your service, which is what we're offering, right? We're not offering a product like, hey, I'll help you manage your finances with a $49 a month membership. Like, we're offering a service, and we're convincing people that we're the best service for them, which is, us buying their home for them. So that's really kind of what we're doing at the moment. And the next steps for us really is I'm trying to expand my marketing into referrals. So education is something that I'm very passionate about. So I'm very involved in my mastermind. I've won a couple of awards for being the biggest giver. So I'm an open book about everything that I do and how I do it. And that has actually brought in some interesting returns, right? Like I never thought that by just being open and sharing that, I could develop incredible relationships and also deals, right? Like, I'm now collaborating with some great investors here in the Dallas area, that, hey, we split a deal. Hey, Kenny, I can't move this. Can you move this for me? Or can you close this for me? You're better at, pitching sub 2 than I am. Can you lock it up for me? So we get to collaborate in a lot of different ways. And, man, honestly, that's been really rewarding. Just like being able to create win-win situations by helping each other, right? And man, honestly, Gabe, like, I think that's something that I see a lot online, like with other real estate investors that are like, oh, you got to be that, the lone wolf, or, they show you like a lot of like chest pumping kind of thing. But in reality, man, guys, don't get deceived. All of those guys are collaborating with each other. Right? They're all in the same masterminds. They all know each other, and they're all collaborating. So anyways, I just say that because I think there's a difference between how real life operates and how marketing operates. And so just be aware.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially with wholesaling, our main bread and butter is not wholesaling. We buy properties, reposition them. But we get deals that, we don't necessarily like, but there's still a deal for someone. And so we'll reach out to wholesalers, to brokers, and just say, hey, we got this. You got a buyer. And then we'll split the commission on that one. And so, being able to connect with people, just you already have your service, you're already doing what you're doing, and just passing it along to somebody who can finish it off, I feel like it's a great win-win situation for everybody involved. So yeah, love to hear that. All right. So you guys, for marketing, you do inbound, you like mailers, and you like, what was the other one? Oh, you like buying your leads.
Correct.
I've actually never bought leads, but I've heard people have good success with it. What do you usually buy a lead for in terms of the per lead dollar sign?
So that's the cool part of some of these pay-per lead marketing channels. So for example, an iSpeed to lead, you get to buy the lead that you want. So it's like a marketplace, and you can actually see the level of motivation. You can see the location, and you can basically you can build your own avatar and decide this is the type of individual I'm going for, right? Because they have a certain level of motivation or they have equity or whatever. So that's pretty cool. Like particularly me with need to sell my house fast, you don't get to really pick what you get sent, but I'm spending at the moment about $3,500 a month, and I'm getting close to a 10x return on that.
And how many leads does that 3,500 generate?
So I break it up in gross leads and net leads. So gross leads is basically any lead that comes into our system from our paid marketing channels. Net lead is somebody that is ready, willing, and able, meaning they want to sell. They can sell from a legal perspective, like it's not in a state where they need to have somebody else sign off, things like that. And the numbers make sense. They don't want, $1 million for their $300,000 dilapidated home. So,
which is a lot of people out there these days.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's crazy. But the cool part about some of these, or most of these pay-per lead channels, is that they will refund you your money if you're not getting a legit lead. Example, let's say you spend $300 on a lead. You call them and they said, let's say the lead name was Gabe Peterson, and I call and it's Kenny Garza, and I'm like, hey, you have the wrong number, dude. I'm like, oh, sorry. They will credit you those $300. So nice. That is really the secret of all of this, is that a lot of people give up, right? Like a lot of people, after 2 weeks of not being able to get in touch with a lead, they give up. But what I found is, like, over time, let's say it takes a month for you to finally get in touch with somebody, they will still credit you that because it was never truly a valid lead. And so don't be scared to ask for those credits and fight for them, because it's money. And a lot of people just throw money at the problem and an excuse with your numbers, right? So I'm getting about 30 leads a month. From their net leads are maybe 12 to 10, which typically leads to about 1 to 2 contracts per month. But my assignments are fairly healthy. And again, that's just from like the need to sell my house fast, not including my other marketing channels. Very cool. So yeah, so that would be kind of like my advice there, is just don't give up on your leads. Just keep working them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And on that point, I've closed a deal that, we had a conversation with them, November 2022, and we didn't close until November 2023. It's like, I've followed up with people for over a year before, it's different in commercial versus residential, but, just keep following up. It's all in the follow up. And if you give up on your first call, then you're going to be hurting over the long run. So,
100%.
I like.
Well, I'm curious, Gabe, what are you doing on the commercial side? Does it differ a lot from single family?
No, yeah. I started out in single family doing wholesales and flips, and it's the same stuff. We send out mailers. We don't do, we did texting at one point, but we've, kind of put that.
It's been rough.
Put that aside just because you can't really do it anymore. We still do cold calling. Cold calling works pretty well in commercial. But really it's letters. I like letters because you can just send them out. It's passive. You don't have to put a ton of active effort in the marketing itself. But once it's out there, you get calls and you get deals. So direct mail is never going to die. People always get letters, and it always works. Especially if you get a good, I can't remember the one that you recommended, but I use Yellow Letter Services. Is that what it's called? Shit, I don't even remember. I don't want to batch that one up because I do like yellowletterservice.com is the one I use. They're really good. I use their postcards. Joe is the guy that runs it. I'm gonna give him a little shout out. He's awesome. He's super, responsive. So if you guys want to do mailers, definitely Yellow Letter Service. But going back to you, sorry, I was on a tangent.
No, you're good. I was the one that asked. I'm curious. Yeah.
All right, we are running down our clock, but we've only talked about marketing. I do want to talk about the other aspects of your business here. So let's
do it.
We're going to do a quicker one, but tell me a little bit about, once you get the call, once you get the lead, tell me about the disposition side, about how the conversation goes, and then how you do the actual wholesale.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and summarize it just for time's sake. But basically, we're focusing on our 4 main pillars, which is their timeline, their motivation, the price, and then I'm forgetting the other one, which was I think it's just roadblocks, if I remember correctly. So basically, what's stopping them from being able to make a decision? Are there any other additional influencers involved that we need to pull in? I've trained. I've in my previous business, we had a fairly big sales operation, and so that was really what I've noticed. That was one of the main things that made us not get deals is failing to identify influencers in a transaction, meaning. I'm talking to Gabe, the seller, but Gabe's brother is an agent and I don't know of his existence. And he's the one that's influencing my seller saying, dude, don't deal with those guys.
Or lawyers, man. Lawyers are
lawyers, aunt, uncle, grandma, like there's always some sort of real estate expert in somebody's circle, like everybody's an agent nowadays too. So identifying those people, bringing them to the conversation tends to really help conversations. But those are the 4 main pillars that I'm looking for in the initial call. But the goal is, and I always try to simplify it, the goal with the initial call is just to get an appointment, right? Like that's 100% the goal. Well, after I get my appointment and I meet with somebody, belly to belly in person, the goal is to push for the no. I always push for the no. Like I want them to reel me back in and ask for our services. Right. So I say, hey, buying homes for cash at market value is not something that we do. Would it still even make sense for us to talk? Yeah. We should still talk. Right. Or I say, no. I want retail value. So then, okay, maybe this is a realtor referral lead. So I always try to disqualify a lead more than just qualify. And I think it's a little bit of that inverse or reverse psychology is that I'm not trying to beg for your business. I'm just trying to see if we're even a good fit. If we're a fit, great. If we're not, we're not. And so that's a big part. We set expectations, things like that.
I like that.
Yeah. And in person, Gabe, honestly, probably I'm sure you also do this. It's just be yourself, you can have a script, you can have like your pillars of what the things that you should be asking about, but people just really crave authenticity and somebody that really cares about them. And, we've gotten deals deeper than when you're in competition with other investors, people have decided to work with us just because they liked us better, or they realized we were faith-based. And I don't go advertising that I'm faith-based. I don't go telling people, hey, we're a faith-based company, because it in a way kind of almost seems like you're trading in God's name. Right. And so, but people just know by the way that you act, the way that you think, and the way that you speak, and that you care about them. And people just ask you and they know. Right. So I think authenticity is a very, very, very important component.
Yeah, for sure. And people smell bullshit from a mile away.
Oh, so 100%, 100%, dude. No.
Good advice to be working under. All right, I'm going to move us on. We have run down the clock, so it's time to jump into the quick question round. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Starts with books or any form of education. Could be a movie, podcast, whatever. Give me 2 recommendations, one for general life wisdom and then one for real estate.
So for real estate, I'm sorry to say this, guys, I'm going to go with the default with Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's what kind of got us into the initial, wanting to get into investing, building doors. So it was an incredible read. And it's a pillar, right? It's a classic. For non-real estate, man, my favorite book is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. It's such an incredible read.
People have recommended that to me. I love reading autobiographies, biographies.
Oh, you're gonna love Shoe Dog. Shoe Dog. Sorry.
I'm getting it on Amazon right now as we speak.
You should. Oh my goodness, man. It's such a good read. I mean, the Nike story of what they went through is just unbelievable. My biggest takeaway from that one is just that Adidas was already a prominent, figure in the sports industry when it came to athletic, wear and shoes at the time. And so it makes me think about where you're at right now in the in business, right? Like there's always that person that's chapter 15 and you're chapter 1, and you think it's impossible to, like David Goliath kind of situation. You think it's impossible to beat them, but you read stories like Nike's and you can't even fathom thinking like, what, Nike was a startup at some point? Like what? In their story, I mean, they almost went bankrupt like 7 different times. I mean, it's just absolutely phenomenal read. And Phil Knight is just such a gifted storyteller. And so it's a very compelling read on top of like just very educational. So it's just amazing.
Well, you sold me. I'm picking it up.
Nice.
Moving us on to the next
You
question.
have to let me know how you like it.
Sounds good. All right, next question, and this is for your younger self. So let's go back to the Kenny who's just coming over from Mexico. Go to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Man, honestly, I would say that that you're gonna be scared either way, so you might as well do it. If you take the chance, you're gonna be scared that you're missing out on the chance. Sorry, if you take the chance, you're gonna be scared that you're taking the chance. If you don't take the chance, then you have FOMO, and so either the fear is present either way. So you might as well do it and take a shot because it's so worth it. I make more and I've worked less. I mean, than I used to as a loan officer. I work really hard, don't get me wrong, but the lifestyle that we've been able to travel, be more present in holidays with families, which is something that I couldn't do before with my previous job. I did miss holidays and birthday parties, and it's just been very rewarding from not only the financial perspective, which for me is secondary at this point, but it's just the lifestyle that's been giving us, and it's just been amazing, and it's so worth it.
There you go. Yeah. Look fear in the face and take action anyways. That is a good piece of advice. Moves us to the next question. This is about the U.S. It's a big place, a lot of opportunity out there. Give me the single metro you're most excited about investing in today.
So for our purposes, for our goals, we're really looking into Ohio. So either Columbus or Cincinnati, from a cash flow perspective. So I love Dallas for flips, wholesales. It's a very healthy market, very, very highly competitive, but the spreads are bigger. However, we're at a point where we want to build long-term wealth and start really building our portfolio, and we're looking into cash flowing markets like Ohio.
Cool. Yeah, Ohio's great. All right, next question is, we already talked about this a little bit, but you didn't say your favorite one, so I'm going to ask it anyways. Okay, it all starts with finding the lead, with getting in contact with the seller. So what is your favorite way to generate leads?
Paper lead inbound, 100%. And even at that point, I will say play and then pay marketing channels. So what I mean is some companies are willing to do some sort of partnership with you where you pay after the deal closes. That 100% is my favorite. It keeps you sharp. The quality of the leads is not as great, but it keeps you sharp. It keeps you working leads. And so by the time that you do get a really good lead, you've been practicing a lot and you're ready. So those are my favorite because you still close them and you don't have to pay for it up front.
Nice. Yeah, I love it. All right. Next question is about deal gone bad. Not every deal goes the way that we expect it to. And in those deals, that's where we learn our lessons. So what is a deal that kind of went away that you did not expect?
Well, earlier this year, it was actually our first flip after I went on my own. We bought a flip from a wholesaler and we spent like over $20,000-$30,000 over budget on our rehab. Cause again, primarily we wholesale and I was like, oh, I'm going to get into flipping. That went really bad. We lost, maybe $4,000 once it was all said and done, but, the stress level was high. And because we had a budget of like 40,000, you spent 30. Well, where do you think the other 30 come from? It's all cash from your pocket. Yeah. And so, that was a rough one. And
so what was the lesson you learned from that?
That flipping is not as sexy nor easy as it may seem. Like it's a completely different branch of your business. Construction, project management is a completely different side of your business, and only do it if you have the time and you're ready to take on something like that, because it's going to pull you away from other potential dollar producing activities.
Yeah. Well, and that's why people specialize in things like just wholesaling or just flipping, because once you really do have to be an expert in that arm of real estate to get the returns that you see these guys on the internet showing. If you focus 100% on flipping and you get good at flipping, it's a great business to be in. But again, you have to focus in it. You have to build the systems. You have to be disciplined, just like wholesaling, just like repositioning commercial. You just got to pick one lane and just stick to that lane until you get really good at it. So I did the same thing.
Totally agree.
I did the same thing when I started. I did everything. I wholesaled, I did flips, and I wasn't good at any of them. And so it wasn't until
So what did you decide to do?
Chose one path. So we only do commercial. We do self-storage, mobile home parks, and mobile home RV, and we do repositioning. So we, look for properties that need a little bit of love, give them that love, and then hold them or sell them off. So, but the key was we found one thing we wanted to do, and we got good at it. We just kept at that one thing until we understood how to do that versus just skipping along and into different areas. So I love that. I think that's a great lesson. And it's a lesson that a lot of people, they have to learn the hard way. Unfortunately, I also had to learn the hard way. So
I don't know why we do that. If somebody's listening to this and they're going to be like, oh, I'm going to be the exception to the rule. And it's like, all right, we'll talk in a few months.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Next question is for the listeners. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you. What is the best way for them to do that?
It's just going to be through social media. So primarily Instagram. So Kenny J. Garza, it's my tag. You can also find me on Facebook and X or Twitter. I'm actively working on putting out a lot of content, just adding value to people without necessarily selling anything. Just, showing people our journey and what it actually is or looks like without the fluff, right? Without just the highlight reel of, showing you our paychecks, but rather what goes behind the doors. So I'm trying to humanize what we do a little bit more and just show people what it's actually like.
Nice, man. I love it. And that is Kenny with 2 N's, J Garza, Garza. So if you guys want to reach out to Kenny, find him on all the different social platforms, and I will put his Instagram URL in the show notes. So just click that little more in the description. It'll pull down the full description. In there, you can find his URL. All right, Kenny, that wraps it up. Awesome. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Thanks, Gabe. Thanks for having me. Congratulations on your baby, by the way.
Thank you. It's surprising that she didn't. She's just hanging out there on the floor, having fun. So it's a good day for everybody here.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're trying to have our like late night low FM DJ voice here, right? Like just kind of keep her soothing.
All right. For everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. If you guys want to support the show, again, all we ask, like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.